Or you trying to come under my comment on that post when I said free Kâmelo? Yeah, free him. I do not think y'all putting fear in my heart. Then y'all want to hit with the if the roles were reversed. It was reversed.
What is good, you all, and welcome on another episode today. How are you doing? I hope you all are doing fine. And to those joining for the very first time, thank you so much for being here today. There is a conversation that has been going viral on the street of TikTok for a few days now. A situation happened at Texas track meet, and it is actually a very tragic situation because it led into one of the people involved losing their life. This altercation happened between a 17-year-old white boy named Austin Metcalf as well as a 17-year-old black boy named Kâmelo Anthony. The altercation that happened between these two led into Kâmelo Anthony stabbing Austin Metcalf, and he sadly passed away. This case and this situation has been going viral on TikTok because after reading the incidents that happened before the tragic event happened, people are having a lot of things to say, and there is even currently a GoFundMe for Kâmelo Anthony. He stated that the boy who lost his life bullying him for so long, so he was defending himself, and it led into him stabbing Austin Metcalf. So basically, he had been attacked by Austin Metcalf and his twin brother for so long to a point where he couldn't take it anymore, and he just had to defend himself, and it led to him stabbing Austin Metcalf, and unfortunately, he lost his life. This has sparked a lot of conversation because there are so many black people standing with Kâmelo Anthony, calling these other people to order, stating that you all should teach your kids to stop bullying other kids outside. But the blind community as well very pissed at the fact that black people are supporting Kâmelo Anthony because they are stating that this support is all because he is black. The judge said he can't be charged because he is a child, and they are pushing for him to be charged so badly. The point where there is currently a GoFundMe for Kâmelo Anthony, and so many black people are standing with Kâmelo Anthony. This conversation is so broad, and so many people are reacting to white people being pissed at black people standing up for Kâmelo Anthony after reading the situations and incidents that led to a point where he said he had to defend himself, which unfortunately led to Austin Metcalf losing his life. Without wasting much time, let's get straight into the conversation.
Let me try to get something straight if I can. So, Kâmelo Anthony, the young gentleman at the track meet who unalived the other gentleman, has a fundraiser of over $280,000. When did we start supporting violent attackers? Giving them money? I'm confused. I'm sorry. You don't do that.
Anybody calling for the death penalty of Kâmelo Anthony, even after the DA stated that they cannot pursue that or a life sentence because he is a child, is literally proving they see black people as less than human. Not once did I hear anybody calling for the death of Casey Anthony, John Romano, Kyle Rittenhouse, George Zimmerman, and two of them have platforms on here. This is exactly how Donald Trump did the Central Park 5 and then had absolutely none of that same energy for the guy that actually raped that woman in 1989. They see black violence as this phenomenon of primitive savagery. That's why they have no problem saying black on black crime, or violence is all black people know, or violence is part of black culture, because they see white on white crime as just normal crime amongst normal people. And then they never want to address the atrocities that they commit at damn near the same race. They just brush it off as another tragedy. And in the same breath, what do they call black people every single time we protest or riot over foul injustice? Animals. And like any animal, such as a dog biting or attacking a child, if a black person kills one of their own, they now want to call for who they see as a savage animal to get put down. But once again, not a single ounce of that same energy towards a white person that got away with murder. So yeah, I am going to stand by Kâmelo Anthony. Because one thing's for sure, it's a damn good thing that none of you sick, biased fucks are prosecuted.
Many people believe that black people are only supporting Kâmelo Anthony because he's black. And if some black people choose to support him because he's black, so what? Many black people and black allies' focus is not on trying to justify a stabbing or a killing. Many of us are trying to have the conversation surrounding the inequalities in the justice system. No one is trying to diminish Austin Metcalf's life from being lost. Many people support Kâmelo because we know that the justice system is not particularly fair to people of color, and it's often you are guilty until you're proven innocent. There's tons of data and research out there that talks about and highlights the inequalities in the system. All you got to do is a little research. Kâmelo feels as though he was defending himself, and he has a right to that defense. And he has a right to plead his case, and he has a right to a fair trial without bias. A certain subset of people have made this case all about race when in fact it's deeper than that. And people are tired of having to operate in and around a system that is systematically unfair to certain demographics of people. It is unfair to say that Kâmelo went to that track meet with ill intentions and looking for trouble. It is unfair and very racist and bigoted to call Kâmelo a thug and all of these other things that he's been publicly called online by adults who should know better and should at this point have the brain development and capacity to want to gather all of the facts and hear all details of the case before forming an opinion. For you to feel like Kâmelo's actions were excessive and unwarranted. But it should not be up for debate whether or not Kâmelo gets a fair legal process and trial. So I'm going to need y'all to simmer down on the boys and the thugs and all of these other stereotypical names that you all are attaching to Kâmelo, and be bold and stand tall and proud in your racism and not behind private profiles. Take the time to hear the facts or find the facts and stop spreading misinformation because it's only hurting more than it is helping. My goal is to cover Kâmelo Anthony's case from start to finish, so follow me and like this video if you want to follow along.
And so it's not the fact that somebody's trying to defend the actions of Kâmelo Anthony. That is not what's happening. What is happening is you son of a bitches are so goddamn disrespectful. You bitches ain't got no home training. That is what we defended. Ripping and running around here talking about somebody didn't belong somewhere. Bitch, show us a seating arrangement. Because bringing a goddamn tent and setting it up wherever you choose to sounds something like Christopher Columbus. I'm just gonna be honest. So hell no, we are not defending the actions of somebody being unalive. So stop with that narrative. Y'all simply think that y'all shit don't stink when actuality y'all live in a fucking porta pot. It's real funky around this bitch. Oh, it's not about race. But each and every argument I've heard you bitches say is about race. The only reason you would think that he didn't belong in the area where personal belongings were is because you bitches have stereotyped him because he black to think that he's still. Thinking because of a certain action that he had to come from a bad home. As if that's the only way you can make a mistake. When in fact, it looks like he came from a pretty good home. I'm not going to say a great home because we don't know. I don't think it's such thing as a great home. But I do know that his mama didn't work in a fucking pizzeria. And I'm not saying whether that's a good or a bad thing. I'm simply saying it's a difference. Because it seems as though the shoe is on the other foot. And y'all projecting simply to prove a point that y'all don't believe that a white man is dangerous enough for a black man to have to defend himself. There. Cats out the bag. And furthermore, why did he bring a knife to a track meet? I'm pretty sure if you give the person a little time to be able to tell their own story, we will all understand why. But in the meantime, go out and check all of them F-150s that were sitting in the parking lot and see how many rifles that they have in them. Only for y'all to justify because, oh, it's a right to carry. Because bottom line, all this boils down to is what's good for the goose is never good for the gander. From all the news stations and all the social media influences that have spread so many lies when the investigation has not been completed. But you all are so quick to jump to judgment because he is black. And y'all don't want to face the fact of that's what y'all are doing. That is why we're defending.
This Kâmelo Anthony story is so sad because at the end of the day, the white kid would have always looked like the victim. Like, even if he was the one who had caused someone to pass away, no matter what. And the black kid, no matter which end of the scenario he was on, would have looked like the aggressor. He would have. And the fact that people are trying to make it seem like it's not race related, it absolutely is. Because why are y'all mad that people are giving to his GoFundMe? To his attorney fees and all of that stuff. Why are y'all mad about that? Why aren't more people mad? Which is the problem. Why aren't more people mad about kids being bullied? Because it's always okay until it's not. Until some stuff like this happen. That's the problem. Nobody's addressing bullies, and nobody's addressing those bullies. And they thought that they were going to get away with it, and unfortunately it resulted in someone's life ending. But sometimes that's how stuff goes. And I feel so horrible for Kâmelo, because he had the rest of his life ahead of him, and because he's black, he's not going to get the same grace that a white child would get in the same situation. And we've seen that proven time and time and time again. They took Dylan Roof to, what was that, McDonald's or Wendy's? Like, we have to be so for real about the way that we're handling children, because they're children and not because of what their race is. We have to be more serious about addressing bullies in school.
When it comes to white people and violence, they always find a way to justify their actions. Even if it's clear as day that they're in the wrong, they are still going to try to find a way to justify the atrocities that they commit to non-white people, especially us. And not only that, they have the media to help them spin that narrative. And then once that narrative is spinned, then they go, and then the laws that be either give them a slap on the wrist where they serve very low sentence, or they get parole, or they don't serve the full sentence, and the rest of the time is dismissed because of good behavior. Whereas us, we're not seen as human. And when we do have to resort to violence against them in self-defense, even if it's on camera, we're still guilty. We're guilty before we even go to trial. And not only that, we have that same media spinning that narrative. And then the same people that justified an act of violence, they then troll us online. How dare we defend ourselves? How dare we fight back? I said before in many of my videos that we are not our ancestors. However, I stand corrected, because our ancestors did fight. They fought back a lot, so much so that the slave owners were afraid of them. But that history wasn't taught. And with that history not being taught, we didn't know that our ancestors fought back, and they didn't know that we will fight back. So here we are, in a system that has always been against us, and we have just sat and taken it. And now the tides are turning, and we're fighting back when our backs are against the wall. No, we're not going to march. But if you step onto our territory and threaten our lives, we're not going to sit back and take it and stand in a corner and cry. We're going to band together and fight back. Which brings me to this point. White people, white supremacy, Christianity, and the government are all under this umbrella of narcissism. That's the only way this makes sense to me in my mind. Because you have been playing this game for a very long time. You have been throwing rocks at us, then hiding your hand and playing the victim. But now, in 2025, you're throwing them rocks and we're catching them and throwing them back. And now you're confused as to why you're injured and hurt. We are our ancestors. And we will continue to keep fighting. So you need to have a conversation with yourselves and y'all's entitled children to leave us the fuck alone.
Have you been following the conversation of the situation that happened between Hostin Metcalf and as well Kâmelo Anthony? Because Black people are standing together on this particular one, stating that so many situations in the reverse case that happened in the past, Black person in question never even get justice. Like things like this have happened before, and it was okay when it was them. But now that similar situations are presenting itself, they want to badly make them feel bad for standing with their own people. The first creator, the white woman, brought up the fact that Black people were contributing and raising funds, about $280,000 at the point that she made that video, which I'm sure it's over there right now. Like she's so angry that Black people are supporting violence. They're even the one who support violence the most. In this particular case and the story that has been presented, so many people have gotten to see that Anthony was being bullied and he was only defending himself. Black people are asking the question that does self-defense only apply to palm colored people? Can Black people as well defend themselves? Why are they like pushed so bad for death penalty on this child, saying that he was defending himself? This conversation is actually very long and it's causing a lot of outrage. If you have been following the situation, honestly, let me know what you think in the comment section. Nobody deserves to lose their life, and it's just so sad that these two young boys had an altercation to a point where one of them had to like the surface of the head. It's a very tragic, sad situation. But do you understand where the Black community are coming from as well? Do you understand the conversation the Black community are making, or do you think that they are just defending Anthony? People are coming from different angles. I would really like to hear what you guys think about this whole situation. This person said, Black people finally sticking together. What took so long? Another one said, we must realize that the laws weren't meant for us, but to be against us. It is time for us to wake up and see that these laws are to keep us down. Another person said, yeah, that is the reason I say that the law is whatever they want it to be on the day that you go to court. The laws are already written, but they can change them whenever they want, according to who they are charging, according to the color of the skin of the person they are charging. Because I saw so many like palm color people talking about how Black people are bringing color into it. They need to bring color into it because the system has always built on color. This person said, I served in law enforcement for 36 years with the Harris County Sheriff's Department in Houston, Texas, and Black deputies fought racism within our department, and we won 2 major lawsuits. If you follow this conversation, let me know what you think. I feel like the major tragic part of this situation is that someone lost their life. It is so sad to see that these two young people could have an altercation resulting into that. Many of the things that have been presented have shown that Anthony was defending himself and they have been bullying 2 over 1. Like they are not talking about them being aggressive towards Anthony before he got to that tragic point. Let me hear what you think about this conversation in the comment section. I will see you guys in the next one.